After security forces eliminated the top Lashkar-e-Taiba commander in South Kashmir, Abu Qasim, in an encounter in Kulgam on the 29th of October, the Pakistan-based terrorist organization has announced the appointment of his deputy, Abu Dujana, as the top Lashkar commander for South Kashmir. Look at his pictures. We are now bringing you the latest. This is the new face of terror in South Kashmir. Abu Dujana, he's between 23 and 25. He's already one of the most wanted terrorists in South Kashmir. His name had also come up during the captured terrorist Naved's interrogation. Naved was that Pakistani terrorist who was captured alive during the BSF bus attack in Udhampur. Now, Dujana carries a cash reward of 8 lakh rupees on his head. Lashkar-e-Taiba's terror operations in Jammu and Kashmir suffered one of the biggest blows when its top commander Abu Qasim, wanted in a series of terror attacks, including this year's Udhampur attack, was killed in a village in South Kashmir's Kulgam district by security forces based on intelligence provided by some of the local youngsters in that area. Two pictures you see.
Recently, Abu Qasim, the LeT commander, was killed. How big it is a success for the troops, and who is the new commander?
And do you see any retaliation from them, Lashkar-e-Taiba?
Undoubtedly, the elimination of Abu Qasim would be a setback for the Tanzim, because he had been operative for over 10 years in the valley, and you all are aware of that. As to who's their new commander, I have no comments.
There are reports that Abu Dujana has taken over as new commander after Qasim.
It was Qasim along with Irshad Ganai, who were number 1 and 2 earlier for a few years, as we all are aware. Abu Dujana is also one of the known names on our list, and he could well be there.
Joining me on the broadcast is Mr. Khajuria, former Director General of Police, Jammu and Kashmir. Also with me is India Today's Shujaul Haq. Mr. Khajuria, the fact that Abu Qasim was killed based on intelligence provided by locals, what do you make of the current situation now that there is a new terror commander who's all of 25, between 23 and 25, Abu Dujana? What do you make of Lashkar operations, especially in South Kashmir, sir?
Lashkar-e-Taiba has been very busy in Kashmir. As we know, they are the core operators on behalf of all the terrorist organizations which have the blessings of the ISI. Now, what is important in case of this changeover is that the younger generation has come into the limelight and they're taking over. This has to be related to the radicalization of the society in Kashmir.
Okay.
Which is radicalization of the society in Kashmir, which is producing these people. And there is a new wave of younger people, even otherwise better educated, more focused, ideologically and committed to the cause. All these things that we're taken into account on one side. On the second side, the loss of the leadership, and they're not finding experienced enough operators to take command.
Yes.
Is a negative for the Lashkar-e-Taiba, and we have to build on that and see that these people are kept under control and neutralized wherever possible.
Stay with me for a moment, sir. I want to bring in Shujaul Haq. Shuja, the fact that Abu Qasim, who was operating in South Kashmir for a decade, he knew the area like the back of his hand. He was killed in a brilliant operation by security forces. Dujana now takes over. Now, tell us a little more about this young terrorist who's now the new terror commander. And as Mr. Khajuria points out, the new wave of terrorists, the new leadership, far more educated, better in terms of their tactics. Tell us more about what your sources are telling you.
Well, Gaurav, as we've been pointing out, after Abu Qasim's death in that encounter, what has happened in the LET, according to the sources, is that this was a serious blow that they incurred. Most of the top officials had told us that now they would try and figure out a way of rejuvenating their activities. And Abu Dujana, who for all practical purposes was a deputy to Abu Qasim in most of his activities, including top assignments like Udhampur attack, is being seen as the man who will lead the entire operations of LET. And coming at a time when there is a heightened tension already, the security forces have already sounded an alert for him and his possible activities with regards to the reports that there could be some revenge attacks that the Tanzim will take place.
Okay.
But at this point of time, the more important thing for the entire establishment is to figure out that there is no possible way of through which these militant organizations can push in men from the line of control, so that they can in a sense rejuvenate their organizational abilities in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, particularly in Kashmir Valley. Of late, we've seen most of the military commanders saying that their focus is to ensure that the infiltration grid is made more strong, and there is no chance whatsoever for any militant organization to infiltrate their men from that side of line of control.
Shuja, you remember that picture from Facebook? We had a group of young terrorists, posing for pictures somewhere in the forest area with their AK-47s. Sources in the security agencies had indicated that the life of a terrorist is anything between 6 months to 1 year and not beyond. And he has to be extremely lucky to survive 1 year. Any of those terrorists neutralized?
Well, Gaurav, most of those militants who had, who had posed for those pictures and videos were from the Hizbul Mujahideen group, and they were following which a lot of people, a lot of experts said, a new strategy of publicizing their faces so that more people can be, lured towards their activities. And you remember, we've been talking about their commander Burhan, who is a local boy from Tral, and has a very peculiar history, so to speak. That is a different case altogether, and that is something that the security agencies were really worried about, because it was a strategy which really seemed out of control, something that they did not have an answer for. Their weapon was publicity. If you see, Burhan for a fact has not been involved in any major assignment or major terror activity.
Okay.
They've only been making him see as a poster boy of militancy, and he still remains out there. So that is something that the security agencies are very worried about.
Okay.
As far as your question, two of their men from Hizbul Mujahideen who appeared in those photographs were eliminated just few days back, and the security forces are figuring out constantly ways and methods of tackling this challenge as well.
Okay, stay with me, Shuja. Mr. Khajuria, that big challenge for the security forces, as Shuja was also pointing out, is to ensure that message goes out very clear. In India, if these terrorists are operating, their life is restricted. 6 months, at best 3 months, is what the government usually gives them if they are wielding a gun against the state.
That's right. But what is equally important is to ensure that no new crop of such people comes up, and that the recruitment of terrorists in a kind of a vitiated atmosphere and a radicalized society is kept under check.
Yes.
Simultaneously, we have to ensure that the cooperation of the local population,
Yes.
Which has been a vital factor in this, not only continues but improves as the time passes.
Spot on there, Mr. Khajuria. For the moment, many thanks for joining me. My colleague Shuja ul Haq will continue to track that story very closely.